my next question for you is, I was wondering if you might be able to explain to us the similarities and the differences between halal and kosher standards, and why does that matter for halal certification? What do those similarities and differences mean for your halal certification that you would like to proceed to get? So please inform us, please.
Yes, we've talked about the fact that halal is Islamically considered to be permissible or allowed for Muslims to use or to eat. And in kosher, it means proper or fit in the Jewish law, meaning it's almost a similar word in the sense that they are both would be permissible for Muslims and permissible for Jews. In halal, the content of the process does not include a pig or its ingredients. And that applies exactly the same under the kosher laws. Of course, the animal, in Muslims or halal certification requires that it be slaughtered in a humane manner by an adult Muslim. Any Muslim who professes to be Muslim can say, all he has to say is Bismillah, when he slaughters the animal. So it has to be slaughtered by a Muslim. In the kosher laws, it requires a rabbi who's named would be called a sachet. He actually has to supervise or actually do the slaughtering himself or the initial slaughtering of animals. So those are the similarities. Also in Islam, in the halal, for it to be halal, the enzymes in any product must also be halal. That's where we differ with the kosher standards, where they considered any enzyme that comes from any animal, including non-kosher, to be kosher, which is a little bit on the odd side. To us, in the halal, for a product to be halal, a prayer must be made on each individual animal. In the kosher side, it can be done on the first and the last animal, and that we consider to be satisfactory. Of course, in halal, we are not allowed to use alcohol. In the kosher, they are allowed to use alcohol. So that's a different issue. And also, the dairy and meat in halal can be mixed. In the kosher, they cannot be mixed. So those are the differences. They're minor differences. But one thing that the reason that I'm making this comparison is that if a product is already kosher, especially on the ingredient side, especially on the vitamin side, or even the pharmaceutical side, we probably would meet the same criteria as the kosher, and it would be easier for any kosher product, already a kosher certified product, to be easily certified as halal. So most of the requirements on those issues, especially the ingredients, would already meet the halal standards with minor modifications, so that it would make it almost an easy way into the halal products if an item is already kosher. On the meat side, though, it's a little bit trickier. So because if it's slaughtered by a rabbi, and then we as Muslims, for it to be halal, it has to be slaughtered by a Muslim, rather than a rabbi. So that makes it an issue. But most Muslims would somehow accept the kosher, because we as Muslims are allowed to eat, the people of the books products, as long as unless it's specifically forbidden. But for halal to be halal, it has to meet all those criteria that I talked about. And as I said, most Americans are familiar with kosher, and they, as the kosher label says, we answer to a higher authority. We Muslims also answer to a higher authority that supersedes any other authority. It means that it has to be acceptable within our values and our Islamic rules and requirements. But as I said, if anything is already certified as kosher, it would have an easier path to becoming halal, and it would be a lot less expensive process than, say, if an item is not already kosher. That is, you know, those are the similarities and also the differences. And anybody who has already a halal kosher certification, it would be very easy for them to become halal certified. And we are here to do that. Thank you very much. And I hope that gives you an explanation of the difference between halal and kosher.